What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fictioning Flow. All right, I know it's been a while since I've done my face on video, so I want to kind of come back for a specific reason. So, for those of you who are in the Chicagoland area, C2E2 is coming this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here. That is the Comic and Entertainment Expo. We got a lot of people, a lot of celebrity guests coming, a lot of art, fun comic stuff, pop culture. So if you are in the Chicagoland area, make sure you come down to McCormick Place for this massive event. Tickets are still on sale. But I thought I would do something a little different this time for my video. So I've done previous videos where I've shown you like the rope drop, the long lines to get in, kind of walked you with me on a tour of C2E2 when I've met some artists and just kind of showing you everything that they have to offer, showing you some cosplay. And I figured this year I want to take a break from that. Because since I've been, doing the streaming stuff there, I actually live streamed a couple of times there. But being an influencer can be kind of tiring. So I haven't really got a chance to enjoy C2E2 like I used to. Just kind of walking around, being a part of the crowd and enjoying it without trying to make content for everybody. So I want to get back to brass tacks and do that again this year. So I want to get a bunch of comics that I have signed. So I want to kind of walk you through my process of how that goes for me. And don't forget, I will show you some videos from C2E2. Don't worry, I will take some cosplay. But I'm going to spend more time talking about how I go through my process of selecting the books that I want to get signed and what do I actually do. So I'm going to stop for a minute and take it to past Joseph to kind of show you how this all works out. Once you're on the C2E2 website, you can go and see the hours and location, all the updates, any changes that have occurred. And then I typically tend to scroll down to like meet the guests to kind of see where they are and click on view guests to see all the people that are coming to C2E2. Once you have done that and you click on view guests, it takes you to another screen which shows you like guest of honor, like the big names that are going to come. And this is how I started making my selection of who I want to see. Some of these comic creators and artists I don't know by name, but I know their work. So what I do is I typically tend to pick each person, go through their catalog and see what they've created, if I have any issues based on some of the books they've written or that they've drawn. So it takes a little while, but I do that, and that kind of is how I get my process going. You can also click onto the guest area again and go into the photo op and autographs, because some people have specific sections where they want to get autographs from. So you go through that and then you click on the buy photo op or select an autograph, and these are the people who will be charging to get their autograph or take a photo with them. You can click on it, see the price. I won't go through that with you, but that's basically how that works. All right, so you see how it kind of works using the website? Like, this is kind of how I go through my process. Like, I make a plan, get everything ready, and now get ready to execute it. The next part, which I didn't record earlier, was showing you how I use the app. So the app is your best friend for C2E2. It has all the artists in Artist Alley. If you want to get books signed, it has photo op information. Some people even drop their schedules to let you know when they're being their booths. Because here's the thing, that sometimes the artists aren't always there throughout the entire day. Like, they got to have breaks like everybody else. So sometimes you don't know until you get into C2E2 what time someone is going to be there doing signings. So some artists have already sent out their signing schedule, which is really helpful. But all of that stuff can be found in the app. So you have the map of C2E2, like the floor map. It tells you who's going to be where, what time they're doing things. There's also all these different panels. So panels about like creating your own comic, or panels about like women in the industry, and some of everything. So you can always check that stuff out, and you can kind of select on the app when something is happening. And then you can give yourself an alert to let you know you can get there on time to make sure you don't miss anything. But once again, I'm here to talk to you about the books that I want to get signed. Now, I got a lot of books, and I probably won't get all of them signed because I don't know how much people are going to charge. And that's something that's never available prior to, except for big celebrity guests where you have to purchase a separate ticket for autographs. So one year, Rob Liefeld, who is the co-creator of Deadpool, was there, and he did have a separate pass you can purchase that you allowed to get books signed. So in that scenario, I already knew how much it was because I had to pay for that separate price to get into the line to get signed. All right, so let's look over some of the books that I have that I want to get signed. So first is a very popular artist that has worked a lot for Marvel, did a little stuff for DC, named David Finch. And I love his like grittiness and how he draws things. And one of the first books I ever seen him draw was Moon Knight. So I got a couple of Moon Knight books I want to get signed. So let's show this. Here is Moon Knight #1 by Finch. Very popular, famous book. So hopefully he'll sign that one for me. Then this is issue #6. I know it's a big jump. This is also a very popular cover. They did a special edition, which I don't have. That's like, they call it the bloody cover, because instead of having the black blood for a cover, they made it really bloody. And they did a special one for that. He'll probably have that there, but that one will probably cost a lot. So those are two of the books I want to get signed. Next from him, though, is David Finch did a really special story called Avengers Dissemble. So we got Avengers Assemble, the famous cry. This is called Avengers Dissemble, where something happened. I won't spoil it for you, but a lot of Avengers died and they kind of changed the status quo. So there's a series of like 4 or 5 books, and I have those as well. So this is Avengers Dissemble. Right, that's issue 500 of the actual run of Avengers. That's the first part. Part 2. Part 3. And part 4. All right, so those are all the books that I want Finch to sign. So depending on how much he charges, if I have to go down, I would say I would get that first Moon Knight and that Avengers issue 500, the first part of this Disassemble. So once again, you never know until you get sometimes to the table to see how much people are charging for their autographs. Some people may say you get 1 or 2 free, the rest you get charged after that. Some people have a straight flat fee where you just charge right out. And some people may let you get 5 signed for free. It all depends on the person and what's going on. All right, the next person I have is a person who did a lot of famous painted covers. I did a lot of work for Daredevil. His name is David Mack. So if you are familiar with the Daredevil, which actually Daredevil Born Again Season 2 starts today, Wednesday, March 24th. And he also introduced the character Echo. So I got a couple of books with her on the cover. Let me show you that. This is Daredevil number 51 with Echo cover. 52. And 55. So I like his covers because they're like very unique, more realistic looking, and they're like watercolor paintings almost. But then he also did some covers for another book, and the character's also been in the MCU under the Defender series, and that's Jessica Jones. So this is Jessica Jones Alias #1. So I'm sure to get that one, as well as a single issue of Echo that came out earlier this year. All right, so those are my top ones for David Mack that I want to get signed, okay? Next is an artist, his name is Ryan Brown. Now, I've had him sign something for me before in the past. He hasn't been to C2E2 in a while, so he's back again. So in this book, Emma got stuck in her diamond form, and Tony got stuck inside his armor. And there's a couple of issues, and I have issue 1 of his cover of Iron and Frost. Now, since this is the only book I have for Ryan Brown, it'll be more likely I'll probably be able to get that signed, no problem. All right. Next, there's another famous African-American writer named Chuck Brown. So he wrote this series called Bitter Root. If you have not picked up Bitter Root, I suggest you do it. It's an indie series about this like black monster hunting family. It's kind of a mix of like sci-fi, little Matrix type stuff, little Lovecraft country, but it's a really good, dope book. And I got to meet Stanford Green, who was one of the artists on the book, a couple of years ago. And he did this special cover that was a tribute to a famous black film called Do the Right Thing. So issue Bitter Root #6 had that cover, and I had Stanford Green sign it. But now the author, Chuck Brown, is there, and I want him to sign that one. So once again, a very famous variant cover of Bitter Root, and I really want to get this one signed by Chuck Brown. They also did a special variant cover edition for Juneteenth in issue number 14. So there was the Juneteenth issue cover, and I want to try to get that one signed as well. All right, last, what I want to get signed from Chuck Brown. So the original Bitter Root run ended, and then there was like another volume that came out called Bitter Root, The Next Movement. And this started like probably about a couple of months ago, and it was a 5-issue limited series. And it kind of follows the family and their descendants still doing the monster hunting stuff. And this is issue number 1 of Bitterroot, the Next Movement. All right. Chuck Brown also did this indie series that was another really cool one. Once again, Bitterroot is also an indie, but this other one called Flawed. It was about this therapist by day, African-American woman therapist, who was actually like a crime fighter at night. So it was kind of like the whole Batman type thing, except she had no holds bars and she didn't have a no killing rule. That definitely not for kids. A lot of explicit content, but I thought it was a really dope book. And he actually did a crossover with Image a little bit. Image comics have been around for a while, like almost over 30 years. And one of their famous characters is Spawn. So this is issue 4 of Flawed, written by Chuck Brown, when it shows the main character and Spawn on the cover at the same time. Definitely want to get that one signed if I'm able to. We also got issue 5, kind of give you a little bit more of a look at the outfit that the main character wore during her crime fighting time at night. And then the final issue in that series, issue 6. So I have all 6 of the series, but I just thought those were the most important ones I wanted to get signed. So see if I can get that done. Okay, moving right along. Another African-American artist that I really like, his name is Dennis Cohen. He's done a lot of stuff. He's drew characters like Deathlock. He did a little stuff with Black Panther. He also did this book recently with a guy from the Breakfast Club called Charlamagne the God. Like they kind of worked on this book together called Illuminati, about like the music industry, which I thought was a very different take on a comic. Like, what are some of the ills of getting into the music industry and what are you willing to sacrifice? I almost think about, if you are familiar with the movie Him, like what are you willing to sacrifice to become this big time celebrity? That's kind of what the book Illuminati is like. So I got a couple of things. I got a Deathlock issue number 1. This is a recent one, not the original Deathlock. That one was harder to find. But Deathlock is like this zombie, part computer. You can kind of think about like Cyborg, kind of like that, but for the Marvel Universe, but a lot more violent. Okay, got that one. And the Illuminati books all had references to old hip-hop album covers. Let's see if you can guess what this first one is. All right, that's issue 1. Once again, not for kids. And this is a tribute to DMX album cover. All right. Issue 2. This is for the old heads out here. This is a tribute to Ice Cube's album. All right. Now, issue 3. Once again, these are all kind of like late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s artists. This is Redman. All right. Redman's album cover. Okay. Issue 4, one of my favorite groups, De La Soul. And finally, the final issue, issue 5 of Illuminati, is a reference to one of my favorite Wu-Tang Clan members, Old Dirty Bastard. All right, so if he's able to get all of that signed, I would love it. I got one more book, though, in this category. I may or may not get that one signed, depending on how much he charges for each of his signatures. And book by Milestone. So for those of you who don't know, Milestone is under the DC label. They came out with a character named Static, Rocket and Icon, a couple of others, Hardware. This is when like this all black like comic group came out. And you may be familiar, for those of you who know a little bit, like the Static Shock cartoon. It was very popular at the time. But this was like a Milestone issue that kind of ran through all their characters. So those are the books that I want to get signed by Cohen, if I'm able to. All right. We are not even halfway through, people. I got a lot of books. Like I said, I don't know if I get all these signed, but I want to just kind of show you what I have and what's the process. And if I get them all signed, I'll show them all in another video. All right. One of my favorite Daredevil writers is a guy named Charles Soule. He's written a lot of Daredevil stuff, Daredevil and Elektra. He wrote an arc where Daredevil became like a god, where Daredevil was the leader of a new group called the Fist instead of the Hand that was supposed to be able to challenge the Fist. But then he wrote this future Daredevil story not too long ago called Daredevil Cold Day in Hell. And what I like about this is it takes place so far, like I said, in the future. Daredevil was like old now. He's like lost his powers, but something happens where he gets them back. And it's like, can he still do this as an older man? Like, they don't really, in comic world, most of the characters don't really mature. They don't grow up. They kind of stay in the same age range, but they show him a lot older. It almost is reminiscent of like when Frank Miller did Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, where it was like, there's so many years Batman's retired and old, but he's forced to put on the cowl again. This is that same kind of treatment for Daredevil: Cold Day in Hell. This is issue 1. Get that one. We got issue 2. I got the variant because I like the way the variant looked a lot better. Like, it looks almost realistic. And then issue 3, you can see Daredevil is all battered and bloody. It's like he was on his last leg. So I definitely want to get those 3 signed by Charles Soule. Charles Soule also is writing an amazing Spider-Man book right now, and it's really interesting story arc called Death Spiral. There's this new villain named Torment, and what this new villain is doing, they are murdering anyone connected to Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Eddie Brooke Venom, and Mary Jane Watson, right? So anyone in their bloodline, he is killing off slowly to get closer to them. Like, I want to kill all the extended people so I can bring it closer to get finally to you. Like, I want to torture you as much as possible. So there's a new series called Spider-Man Death Spiral, and Charles Soule also wrote that. Here's issue 1. Okay. And then I have issue 2. Okay. Next, I have I think his name is, if I'm not mistaken, his name is, guy works for DC, Javier Fernandez. He is a artist. He draws a book. So DC has been exploding lately with the Absolute DC line. And they had a big event, crossover event called DCKO, where heroes and villains had to fight for the right to become the King Omega. Like, Darkseid, one of the big Superman villains, had died recently, and his energy like dispersed. And that's actually what created the Absolute Universe. But they had a chance to kind of like battle, and whoever would win this big tournament would get that Omega energy, and they can do whatever they wanted with it, make the world whatever they wanted. So not only were villains in it, heroes had to fight each other too. And so it's a 5-issue run, and I got a lot of the different covers, and I have some of the variants I want to show you that I hope to get signed. So this is issue 1. This is a variant. You got Superman, and if you notice, he has these like little glowing things on his hands like brass knuckles. Those are miniature suns, right? So the heroes and villains got to choose weapons of that, whatever they wanted to, and this is a variant that I would love to get signed by Fernandez. All right, Javi Fernandez. This is the regular issue 1 cover. It's like a gated cover. All right. This is a variant versus issue 2. We got Plastic Man versus Lobo. That was a really interesting fight. We got issue 3. We had Joker step up and do some really crazy stuff in there. I won't spoil it for anyone who plans on reading the story. Issue 4, we have the absolute DC characters, the big 3, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, going against our regular characters. And this was an issue not to be missed. This is a really important one. And then the final issue in the series, issue 5, where we see who won the actual tournament. I won't spoil it, but it was definitely a surprise who actually ended up winning the tournament and getting the absolute power. All right. We are at the halfway mark now, people. Those are half the books that I want to get signed.
But wait, there's more.
One of the books I love, aside from Absolute Batman, is Absolute Superman. It's a different take. So it's hard to really get into everything about it, but he's still an alien. He wants to be left alone, and Superman just comes in doing totally different stuff. He wasn't raised by the Kents the same way. He kind of has his own mind. He wants to still help people, but he doesn't want to be bothered. So I think a year ago or 2 years ago, the writer for this book, Jason Aaron, was here in Chicago at C2E2. And I had him sign my first 2 issues of Absolute Superman. So now I just need to get the artist, Salvador, who's going to be here to sign it as well. And that's a variant cover to issue 1. We got issue 2. As you can see, there's a group of peacemakers that are challenging Superman. They're fighting him. All right. Issue 3 gives a little bit about Krypton, a little information about his home planet. issue 4, and issue 5. Now, I may not get all of that signed, depending, but if I can definitely get those first 2, those are the ones I want the most. But also, I want to go for at least one more. This came out not too long ago. So in the Absolute Universe, they've been introducing some of our regular people in the DC Universe, but in the Absolute form. And the Absolute Universe is kind of like, if you are familiar with Marvel's Ultimate Universe, it's kind of doing some of the same things. Like Marvel had the Ultimate, that's where Miles Morales came from. So this Absolute is spawning new people. But the first battle and first meeting between Absolute Superman and Absolute Hawkman was legendary. And that's in issue number 16. So I really want to get this signed because they had this crazy fight and Hawkman and Superman just went at it for a while. All right, those are the Absolute books. As I said about the Ultimate Universe, we have Ultimate Wolverine. So I know you are familiar with Wolverine as a character, but in the Ultimate Universe, he is known as the Ultimate Winter Soldier. Like, wait a minute, isn't that Bucky's title? Yes, but they gave Wolverine his title. So I have a couple of issues from Condon, the writer. It's issue 1 of Absolute Wolverine. Okay. So he was raised in Russia instead of Canada. Like, it's a different whole makeup. He was under the control of like some of these, like the Weapon X program was kind of ran by some of the Russian enforcers. So those Russian enforcers, Colossus and his sister Magic, which normally they are good guys. Issue 2. Issue 3. And then I got one more, and that is issue 8. And the reason I skipped to 8, because in issue 8, they introduced Ultimate Archangel. And when I'm telling you his arc is crazy, I can't even really spoil it for you. You have to just look that book up, see it, Ultimate Wolverine, issue 8. It's crazy. Like, they do some weird things with Jean Grey and Cyclops and Archangel, and it's nothing like you've ever seen these characters before. So definitely check it out if you get a chance. All right, those are those books. All right, getting now to The Wire. This is the last stuff. We got 2 more stacks to go through. So another indie book. I love indie books. A lot of people stay with the Marvel DC, but I love exploring all types of different comic genres. There's been a new book that just came out called Ordained. And it's about this priest who has a past. We don't know exactly what's going on with him, but he gets called in to give last rites to this dying mobster, right? This mobster kind of wants his last rites. He's been told by his doctors he doesn't have long to live, and he just wants to confess everything he's done. So this priest goes in, he hears his confession. He was like, you'll be forgiven. He was like, I don't want to be forgiven. I just want to tell you, I did all this stuff and got away with it. Like, extortion, trafficking, drugs, all this stuff. And the priest kind of just holds it all and kind of like just leaves. And as he's leaving the hospital, an FBI agent comes up and like, look, if you can just let me know what happened, we can prosecute this and all that and get all these people off the streets. He's like, well, I can't give that information away. Goes to the next day or a couple of days passes. The mobster gets a clean bill of health. He's not dying. So the mobster was like, look, I told him all my secrets. This priest knows this. Even though he planned on doing nothing with it, he wants to have him eliminated. So he sends like some just regular thugs to go try to take care of him. And this priest wipes the floor with them. So I would think of this kind of like as a Punisher type book, right? Someone who has no superpowers, but definitely has a possible military past and maybe even some dark other secrets, but he knows how to handle himself. And once again, this is issue 1 of Ordained. All right. So I definitely want to get that signed by the author who will be at C2E2. All right. And issue 2 just came out. So I have the first 2, and I'm thinking this is going to go down in history. This is like going to probably be some key issues in the future. I would even see this as a TV show or a movie if done right. All right, moving right along. A character that appeared in the Disney Plus series in the Marvel animation, the What If, called Kahari. Native American lady. Check that out. I think she was in the season 2 of the Disney animation series. They had like Marvel zombies in it and a couple of other like what if scenarios. And she had a solo book. And it's just 1 issue. And I'm sure I can probably get that signed. All right. These next two artists and writers are some of the ones I'm really looking forward to in the C2E2. So, done a lot of Daredevil talking. Once again, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 premieres tonight. So, this writer, Stephanie Phillips, right? She is the new current writer on the Daredevil series. Now, the official Daredevil comic is there, starting over issue 1 with Stephanie Phillips writing it. It comes out next week. However, at C2E2, since she's going to be there, as well as the artist who drew the book is going to be there. So she's bringing the book early. So once again, the book comes out next week, but you can get a early release copy at C2E2. At their store, they're going to have a certain number of them that are going to be C2E2 exclusives. And I want to get her to sign my book as well as the artist. So she also wrote another What If book called What If Venom. And this is what if the Thing got Venom's powers. And I'm here for it. I want to get this book signed as well as the Daredevil because I think she did a really excellent job writing this book. And she's become one of my new favorite authors in the Marvel series. Right. So this other book, his name is Lee Garbett. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name wrong. Once again, I told you a while ago when like the mutants had kind of became like their own sovereign nation, like they had the nation of Krakoa. It was the Krakoa era, if you will. And once the Krakoa era ended, a lot of the mutants got separated. They kind of like off on their own because they were getting hunted again. So Nightcrawler had to go in disguise because everybody was looking for mutants. And like he's hard to miss because of how he looks, right? The blue, the tail, he can disappear. So he went to go talk to Spider-Man. And he's like, look, I need help. I need a costume. I need to do something. I still want to help people, but I kind of want to be like, undetected. Because, there have been a lot of different people who are being Spider-Man or people in the Spider family. So everyone's kind of used to that. And Spider-Man gave him a costume and helped him design a little bit. And Nightcrawler went around as the Uncanny Spider-Man. And this is issue 1. This is a variant cover. Once again, by Lee Garbett that I want to get signed. So this was like Nightcrawler being Spider-Man. Okay. There's issue 2 when he fought the Rhino. We got issue 3 where he went against Silver Sable, who was like, why are you doing this? Who are you? Like, Spider-Man's my friend. What are you doing? And issue 4 when Spider-Man helps him out. And then the last issue in the series, issue 5 of the Uncanny Spider-Man. A dope run. I suggest picking this up if you haven't read it. It was really good. Also gives a little hint about Nightcrawler's mom, Mystique, and some new things get revealed. But not only do I have those that I want to get signed, I was able to get something really special that was hard to find, a special Funko Pop. So Funko Pops are these little bobblehead figures. I collect them, and they made a special Uncanny Spider-Man Funko Pop. It was a limited run, and I searched everywhere. I couldn't find it. It was exclusive at a store. It was a Hot Topic exclusive, but I was able to procure one, and here it is. All right. I really want to get this Funko Pop signed as well. If I just get the first issue of Uncanny Spider-Man signed in this Funko Pop, that would be great. It was limited to 9,500 pieces. That's all they made, 9,500. I know it's a lot, right? Close to 10,000, but 9,500 was all they made, and that's it. And I was able to grab one. And I happened to go to a store like in the suburbs and just took a chance, and they had one left on the shelf because they were sold out online. And I was lucky to get it. So if I can get all that signed, I will be more than happy. All right. Another one that probably may not have heard of, another indie book, all right, by a writer named David Crownson. He's making a lot of waves in the comic circuit. He created this book called Harriet Tubman, Demon Slayer. So you all know the story of Harriet Tubman, helped with the Underground Railroad. However, in this particular story, she's also fighting demons. So he just made her this bad, demon warrior fighter, as well as kind of helping people through the Underground Railroad. So he is supposed to be there. And this is issue 1 of that series. in the variant cover, and I really like it, so I want to get him to sign that from a brand called Kingwood Comics, who puts it out. Kingwood Comics. It's another indie book. And then this other cover, this is the issue number 1, too. It's another variant. But see if you can guess what it's a throwback to. You may have seen this image before. All right, some of you got it. This is a throwback to Captain America number 1 when he's fighting Hitler. Right? So I love when comics do this, when they kind of pay homage to other or older comic covers and then kind of like repurpose them. All right. Getting down to the last wire. All right. So now a writer, Jeff Loeb, done a lot of great books. There was a big crossover back in the 90s called The Age of Apocalypse. Like basically, what if Apocalypse ruled the world? How would things be different? So the X-Men were different. Everything was different. Professor X was killed. So Magneto ended up running the X-Men. How would the X-Men look then if Magneto led them with this different outlook in life and keeping Charles' dream alive? So this is like the X-Men of Apocalypse. They got stuck in this timeline, but they've come to the modern timeline to try to fix their timeline. Because basically that timeline was never supposed to exist. Professor X was never supposed to be killed. So they're fighting to keep their timeline alive. This is issue 1 of the X-Men of Apocalypse. All right. And then we have a variant cover for issue 1, which is one of my favorite characters from this series named Blink. She's a teleporter. She doesn't physically teleport herself like Nightcrawler. She uses these pink shards that she throws and they make teleportation portals. All right. Jeff Loeb has also done some work for DC. He's written some Batman stuff. And I have this exclusive Batman cover that I really want him to sign as well. So I've never seen anything like this before. So imagine Batman playing basketball. I know, Batman playing basketball. But in this particular cover, Batman is dunking on all of his villains. So I definitely want to get this cover signed. All right, moving along. Some of you, especially some of you old comic heads and old cartoon people, there was a show on ABC a long time ago, like in probably late 90s, called Gargoyles. A pretty dark show, kind of almost like the Batman animated series about these gargoyles that came to life, real action-packed. One of the main characters, Goliath, voiced by Keith David. So since Disney owns Marvel now, they did this crossover not too long ago. So they crossed over Gargoyles with the Fantastic Four. Like, what would happen if they were in the same universe? And they made this book. So it's the Fantastic Four and Gargoyles #1 by Baum. I want to get this book signed by him. That's one of like a really cool concept and a cool book. Then I actually got the exclusive #1 variant cover where they showed the Thing and Goliath split together. Right. And another one from Baum I want to possibly get signed. Deadpool, they did this like April Fool's Day kind of book, a limited book called Poolanomy, like Illuminati, but Poolanomy. And so it's like all the Deadpool like corpse get together, like all his people, like Lady Deadpool, Kid Deadpool, his daughter, Headpool, Dogpool, and they all get together. And I want to get this book signed. All right. Another big artist who will be at C2E2, known for doing a lot of covers, is David, and I may be pronouncing his name incorrectly. I think it's Nakahara. He does a lot of cool covers, and I had some books from him signed before, but since he's back again, I'm hoping to get a couple of more signed. So he has this realistic look to his books. So this is his cover for WandaVision, #1. All right. Or not #1, I'm sorry. This is Scarlet Witch issue 3 with a homage to WandaVision, the series. And we talked about Magic and Colossus, right? This is another one of his covers with Magic and Colossus. Deadpool started over again. It's Deadpool #1. It's called Wade Wilson Deadpool. This is his exclusive cover for that. All right, I like this. It's a side-scrolling cover. And then you may or may not have heard of this character. There is a new character in the Spider Universe called Spider-Girl. She's a little bit different. She's brand new. but he did a cover for her issue number 1. And what's different about Spider-Girl, she has razor webs. So they're not just regular sticky webs, they're razor sharp webs. All right, check that out. And then finally, there for the Green Lantern book, issue number 18, there's a character called Jo Mullein. She had a really cool book called Green Lantern Far Sector. She was way away, like far out of the universe. She was on her own. She didn't have any help. But he did a variant cover of her in Green Lantern number 18. All right, so those are my main books that I want to get signed. However, I know that I said that was it. There's one more. These are the books that if I have anything left after I get the ones I've already showed you signed, I want to try to get these signed as well. So, writer named Mark Guggenheim did a Spider-Man Wolverine book, and it says the deaths of Spider-Man Wolverine. There's a new villain that has been taking out different multiverse versions of Spider-Man and Wolverine. That's issue number 7. That's where it starts. Then issue number 8, I got a variant cover. There's the King of the Symbiotes. His name is Null, called the King in Black. So they did some nullified covers where what if certain Marvel characters had the Dark Null symbiote power. And this is the issue number 8 of Spider-Man Wolverine with the nullified Wolverine. I love this. Got the crazy look. He just looked completely evil, weird. I want to get that one. And issue 9 shows the new villain that has been taking out all these different versions of Wolverine and Spider-Man. So I'm like, who is it? Who can take them out? It is a hybrid of Wolverine and Spider-Man together. It's this one character who is like a mixture between both. And that's who's been, and this is the variant cover of issue 9 in that series. And I want to really, this is the main one I want to get signed in this variant issue. And then finally, the last issue in the series, issue 10. All right, so it's a 10 issue run, and this one just happened like 2 weeks ago. I think this one came out. Okay. Those are kind of the main books that I want to get signed, people. So I know it's a lot, and I even got a few more, but I'm not going to go through all of those. But once again, if I get the chance, that's what I want to get done. All right, so thank you for coming along with me on this journey. Make sure to give a video a like if you enjoyed what I've shared with you today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to know when new content drops just like this. And I will see you all this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at C2E2. Once again, I kind of film a little bit content, not a whole lot, but I'm going to spend most of my time trying to get these books signed. And drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.
What's up? I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction Ink Flow. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction Ink Flow. I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction Ink Flow.
If you don't have it, you are truly missing it.
What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
it.
Ink Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?